Today's question. I'm so completely overwhelmed. I've got like 24 things on my to-do list. They're all super important. I don't know how I'm going to get any of them done. What do I do? We're going to answer this question today. All right. So you are an overwhelmed entrepreneur or service provider or employee. You just got a ton of things to do and you can't figure out where to start. What comes first? They're all important. Here's my suggestion. Make a list of everything that must be done. All these have to-dos that are so important. And I'm not saying they're not all important. I understand. I've been in this place myself recently where I was looking at a list and I had like 100 to-do items on my list and not one of them was unimportant. It was clear, however, I could not get all of them done today or the next day or that entire week or that entire month really. So what was I going to do? I did what I'm suggesting you do. I made a list and then I went back and looked at the smallest, quickest win I could find. What's one thing on this list I could work on right now and get it done today? At least in a 1 day tight compartment, I could get this done. So I found that one thing and did it. And it only took about an hour. So then I looked to see what the next thing was. And I did that thing. And that was about all I could do that day. I suggest you take the same approach. Just do the next logical thing you can do and you can complete today. In fact, David Allen in his book, Getting Things Done, which I highly recommend if you want to learn how to be more productive with less stress, he suggests making a list like the one I just described and looking for things that can be done in less than 2 minutes and doing them right now. He calls it the 2-minute rule. If you can do it in 2 minutes, you should do it now. Knock as many of those off the list as you can, then move on to the next quickest thing you can do. And will you get it all done? Not in a day, not maybe in a week, maybe not in a month, but you will get the next logical thing done that you can complete. And even though there may be some bigger items that you think, it's just so big, I just need to get to it, it's so important. Break it down into tasks, because usually items that are that big that you can't complete in a day are not actually a to-do item, they're a project. So look for those projects that are so important and look for the next step in the project. That may be something you can do in 2 minutes. Maybe something you can do in an hour, maybe something you can do in 2 hours, something you could do today. Take that next step. Slowly, you'll begin to work your way through your list. Will you have to rewrite the list every day? Maybe. That's just the way things work. But this is how you get out of overwhelm. At all times, be making some progress. And don't forget that one priority task that you have every day is to get some rest. Another task is to get some nutrition. Another one is to get some exercise. Those should be part of every day. All of this may seem like a long-winded answer to this short question, but this is an important approach to dealing with overwhelm. Is you begin to chunk it down into small, manageable, bite-sized tasks of things that are important that you can do quickly, get yourself some quick wins, get some momentum going. Then you can begin working on those bigger items that seem more monumental, maybe, than they really even are. And it makes me think of something that Joe Polish, who, if you don't follow Joe Polish and his I Love Marketing podcast, which he does with Dean Jackson, I strongly recommend it to you. Joe has a way of describing his business. He wants his business to be an ELF business. Easy, lucrative, and fun. Later, I heard him explain otherwise what you're going to have is a half business. Hard, annoying, lame, and frustrating. So how do you keep from having a half business and have a business that's easy, lucrative, and fun? Look at all those things on your to-do list that you just created and ask yourself, what if this were easy? How would I do it if it were easy? Like I had this huge project I've been working on for a couple of weeks now, which is creating a workbook for a live event we're doing. And I asked myself the question as I sat in total overwhelm on this project, what if this were easy? What would that look like? Well, it might look like going back to the workbook we did for the last event, putting some new ideas into it, remixing it, reformatting it, rewriting it, and then it might look like having somebody else do the rewriting. I just come up with the high-level ideas about how we're going to shift the content around. So I did that, and what had been a project that had taken me weeks to get any progress on suddenly is one that got done in 24 hours. In my experience, at least half the time that my life feels hard is because I made it that way. Hello, does that ring a bell for anyone? If that sort of resonates with you, maybe it's time to start looking at how can you stop the stuff you do from being hard, annoying, lame, and frustrating, and find a way to enjoy the possibility of it being easy, lucrative, and fun. Something to think about. I'd love to get your comments and feedback. You can put those below wherever you're listening or watching this content. And until next time, God bless you. live long, and prosper.